The interview was in 9 hours. The one she prepared for over 3 weeks, the one she actually wanted. And at 11 at night, she opened her laptop and started a full closet reorganization instead of sleeping. Not because she forgot the interview. Not because she didn't care. Somewhere underneath the folding and the color coding, some part of her was making sure she'd walk in tomorrow a little tired, a little less sharp than she could have been. If you've ever done something that looks exactly like this, sabotage the thing you wanted most, right before you were about to get it, this video is going to explain what actually happened. And it's not what you think. Here's the pattern, and you'll probably recognize your own version of it. The promotion is basically yours, and you pick a fight with your manager the week of the decision. The relationship is going better than it ever has, and you start a conversation you know will blow it up. The business is finally gaining traction, and you suddenly stop returning the client's emails. Not because you're incapable, because something happens right at the edge of winning. Most people call this self-destruction and leave it there. Bad habit. Poor discipline. Case closed. But that explanation doesn't hold up, because self-destructive people aren't usually careful. And this is careful. It shows up at a strangely specific moment, over and over, always right before the finish line, never in the middle of the boring, unremarkable stretch where nobody's watching. That specificity is the clue. Something in you is timing this. There's a psychologist named William Swann who spent years studying a strange finding. Logically, you'd expect people to want positive feedback, praise, validation, confirmation that they're doing well. And people do want that. But Swann found something stranger sitting right alongside it. When positive feedback conflicts with someone's existing self-image, a lot of people will quietly work to disprove it. Not because they enjoy failure. Because unpredictability feels more dangerous to the mind than a familiar negative label ever could. Read that again, because it's the whole video in one sentence. Your brain isn't optimizing for happiness. It's optimizing for consistency. And if part of you has spent years believing, I'm the one who almost makes it but doesn't, then actually making it isn't a relief. It's a contradiction. And contradictions, to your nervous system, register as danger. So here's the mechanism. Picture your sense of identity as a thermostat, not a light switch. A light switch is either on or off. A thermostat has a set range, and anything outside that range gets pulled back automatically, without you deciding to do it. If your internal setting has quietly calibrated to somewhat successful, but not that successful, then something remarkable starts happening the moment you drift above that line. You don't consciously choose to fail. Your system just starts generating small behaviors that pull you back down to the temperature it already knows how to survive in. That's why the sabotage always seems to happen at the edge, never in the middle. The middle is inside the comfortable range. The edge is where the thermostat kicks in. But there's a second layer to this, and it's the one nobody wants to admit out loud. Sometimes the sabotage isn't your identity defending itself. Sometimes it's your ego building an exit early, just in case. Psychologists call this self-handicapping, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If you go into something at full effort and it fails anyway, that failure says something uncomfortable about your actual ceiling. But if you stayed up too late, or didn't fully prepare, or picked a fight the week it mattered, now there's an explanation ready and waiting. I didn't really try. And strange as it sounds, for a lot of people, that sentence is more comfortable to live with than, I tried everything I had, and it still wasn't enough. Think about what that means. Some part of you would rather guarantee a smaller failure with a built-in excuse than risk a real answer to the question that actually terrifies you. What if I gave this everything, and I'm still not enough? Sabotage isn't the failure. Sabotage is the shield you build so the real question never has to get answered. And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable, because success doesn't just risk exposing your ceiling. It also threatens to take something away from you that you didn't realize you were attached to. If you've spent years as the underdog, the hard worker who almost gets there, the one people quietly root for, that identity comes with something real. Sympathy. Lowered expectations. Permission to fail without it meaning anything about who you are. The moment you actually win, all of that disappears. Now people expect it from you. Now failure means something different. Now you're not the promising almost there anymore, you're just someone who has to keep delivering, indefinitely, with no more built-in excuses left. For some part of your brain, that trade doesn't sound like an upgrade. It sounds like a loss with better lighting. So let's bring this back to the closet, at 11 at night, 9 hours before the interview that mattered. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't careless. She was, in a strange and backwards way, protecting herself from a version of her life where the stakes were higher, the expectations were real, and there was no explanation left to hide behind if it didn't work out. Staying up too late wasn't the enemy of her success. It was insurance against a future self she didn't fully believe she was ready to become. So what do you actually do with this, once you can see it clearly? You start by noticing the moment, not the outcome. The outcome, the missed opportunity, the blown-up relationship, the ignored emails, that's already downstream. The real moment is earlier, smaller, and almost boring, the instant right before, where some part of you reaches for a distraction, a fight, a reason to stay up too late. That instant is the whole video. That's the thermostat activating. If you can catch it there, before it turns into a decision, you get a choice you didn't know you had. And when you catch it, you don't need a dramatic fix. You just need one sentence, said quietly to yourself: this discomfort isn't a warning. It's just unfamiliar. Let it be unfamiliar for a while. You don't have to trust the new version of your life immediately. You just have to stop actively demolishing it before it gets the chance to become familiar too. Because here's the part worth sitting with. You were never actually afraid of failing. You failed plenty of times, and you survived every single one. What you're actually afraid of is succeeding, and then having to find out who you are once the excuse is gone. So the next time you feel that pull the night before something finally matters, the sudden urge to pick a fight, to stay up too late, to almost, but not quite, follow through, pause there. That's not you falling apart. That's the last, quiet attempt of an old identity trying to keep you exactly where it already knows how to survive. You don't have to obey it. You just have to notice it's talking.